This is New Zealand, Aotearoa. We're blessed with great mountains, beautiful sweeping beaches, and wild rivers. Over 180,000 kilometres of them. As a mountainous island chain in a boisterous corner of the world's largest ocean, our rainfall can be massive, making our rivers turbulent and unpredictable.
I'm Craig Potton, and I've been photographing New Zealand landscapes just like these for 40 years. I just love it. It's my passion. Making art out of the mountains, out of the forests, out of the coastline,
and out of our rivers. For me, they are the arteries that connect everything together. I'm going to travel some great New Zealand rivers, each one with its own story.
Wow, look at that.
I'll meet people who care for rivers and the creatures which live in and around them.
What a beauty, look at that is.
I'll journey between source and sea and try to understand how rivers have shaped the land and influenced our culture. But above all, I want to see if we can use our rivers wisely and protect their wildness for our children. There are few rivers on Earth that flow almost unimpeded by man through a totally natural landscape, from their source to the sea. I'm about to travel down one of them, the Mockianoui River. My journey will take me from an alpine plateau down through ancient native forest. I'll raft through a gorge rich in biodiversity, from rare land snails to native eels, past relics of the gold rush and on to the wild west coast. But this pristine environment is under threat. The shadow of an 85-metre dam hangs over this remote valley. We'll examine the issues around the dam and what it could mean for this magical wilderness. The source of this wild river is a kilometre above sea level on the 1,000-acre plateau. A massive chunk of limestone pushed up from the seafloor 30 million years ago. I've come to this high point to take in a view today, becoming less and less common all over the world. From this point, nothing was made by man. There is no human imprint whatsoever. This is wilderness, and it's a great antidote to our overpolluted and overpopulated human world. Don't get me wrong, I do love society, I love culture, I love a good cup of coffee. But we do need to get away from it all, and this, in all its splendor, is greater than anything that we can create. We're in Kahurangi National Park. We're at the top of the Mockianoui River, and the reason we're here is that we're sitting on a limestone plateau. Limestone is an amazingly fertile rock for native plants. This is a late-flowering gentian. This park alone holds 80% of all the different types of alpine plants in New Zealand. It makes it one of the world's great biodiversity hotspots for alpine plants. So what we're seeing here is a whole range of alpines. Flax, we've got some daisies, sormisias, two different species in here. We've probably got a parahebe, little late-flowering parahebe here, and another sort of hebe over here. And often neglected, but really significant throughout the whole park, are the tussocks. What's absolutely delightful is we've got some little red berries just in here. Over 2 metres of rain falls here every year, and this great plateau collects its fair share, then slowly surrenders it to gravity. A river never starts in one place, but I guess these trickles of water here are as good a place as any to start my journey down the Mockianoui. From here, my journey will continue downstream to some really special places. I'll be joined by some old friends, and I'll do something I've always wanted to do, to raft the extraordinary Mockianoui Gorge right out to the sea. I drop down off the plateau and into the south branch of the Mockianoui and one of our few untouched podocarp beech forests. I'm a great believer in taking a camera, standing silently before the subject, and just letting the images talk.
I like to let the forest and the creek bed fill the frame and to feel it coming closer and closer until there are just windows of green framed by trunks and branches, so that you lose that feeling for depth. That's what I try to achieve in my forest images. But there's a threat hanging over this wilderness. Resource consent has been granted for an 85-metre hydroelectric dam, which would flood 14 kilometres of the Mockianoui Valley. If the dam goes ahead, we will never again see this valley the way it is now. After a solid hike downstream, I meet up with my old friend, wilderness writer and tour guide, Andy Dennis.
Hey, hi buddy.
Hi there, Craig.
Really good to see you.
Oh, great to see you.
We've had many an adventure together, and after several hours walking, it's time to cool off in the Mockianoui. Yeah. So, my thoughts, my friend, is that we should go for a swim here.
We've even got a beach to ourselves.
We have.
Are we ready to go, Andy? Oh. That's good, isn't it?
It's pretty cold, mate.
It's nippy, but it's refreshing.
It's absolutely stunning today on the plateau. I mean, you look down on this river, it's extraordinary. It is so large, this whole catchment completely unadulterated, except for just a little bit out here of the grass and that. So you come up the track today, buddy. How was it?
It's a fantastic track to walk, and it's certainly one of my favourite river walks in the country.
Yep.
And on the west coast. I don't think there's a track that goes through a long lowland gorge on the west coast that actually matches this one. Walking in the sunshine, I would have loved to have rafted. Mind you, we're going to have some trouble with some of the rapids tomorrow because there's not a lot of water over here.
You reckon?
We'll have an interesting trip.
Bumping on the rocks a bit, maybe.
There's one or two places, especially towards this top end, where I thought, I wonder how the raft's going to get through there.
It's day 2 on the Mockianoui. Andy and I are about to head off on our adventure downriver. For this leg of the journey, we'll be joined by Forest and Bird Field Officer Debs Martin, who knows more about wild rivers in this part of the world than anyone. And freshwater fish expert Mike Joy. On the right?
On the right?
Oh. We're keen to get on the water with our guides Tim and Dave from Ultimate Descents.
Somebody can come on that. Mike's there.
I've flown this river a few times. I've photographed from its banks, but this time I'm on the river. I'm going to feel its energy and its pulse for the first time. I just can't wait.
All together, forward paddle.
This feels like a good way to be travelling this river because Mockianoui means big raft, a reference to the early vessels Maori explorers used to navigate these waters. When the west coast rains pour down, this river becomes a grade 4 river, which means it can be difficult and dangerous. With the water level low at present, however, the rapids are easier, but there are heaps of rocks to avoid. While Maori travelled these waterways in search of panamu, or greenstone, European settlers soon became interested in the area too, as gold fever spread from central Otago to the west coast. From 1864, prospectors scoured the major rivers, hunting for the precious metal. Our first stop will be to see if we can find any remnants of gold mining activity here.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Short scramble up from the river.
Very cool.
And here we are on this elegant old track. The old Mockianoui pack track, 6 feet wide, or 6 feet in the old days, 2 metres today, just about flat. Look at it, running around here all on the contour. This is the way it goes, just about all the way through the gorge. For the miners themselves, the reason they came up these rivers all the time is because so much rock is exposed along the edge of the rivers. It's much easier to see gold-bearing rock. Look at the hillsides here, absolutely draped in forest. Where do you find exposed rock? Same with the early geologists. They followed rivers because that was the way they got a handle on the kind of rocks that were in the country. Rivers are great for geologists and gold miners, Craig.
Great for gold.
Yeah.
So how do they build a track like this, mate?
Oh, pick, shovel, dynamite. You can see this little clearing looming up through the trees here on the right.
Yeah.
One of the very few bits of flat land along this steep, gorgy river. But this is where Seatonville was.
Okay.
This was a little village for people that work the mines and stamping batteries around here. Probably 200 or 300 at the maximum.
Yep.
Living in little...
200 or 300 here, no?
Yeah,
surely not.
yeah.
Just here?
Oh, they just crowded together.
Around,
Fairly
yeah.
small, humble abodes built from local wood, canvas stretched over it, tin chimneys.
Yeah. Yep.
Should we go and have a look at it?
Why not, mate? Why not?
After you.
Let's go.
Nothing else like this all the way down the river. You don't see it from the river, Craig. It's hidden away up here.
Hey, look, Andy. Something over here.
Oh, yes, yes.
That could be, a cooking pot or something, couldn't it? Cooking the stew in or what?
I'd say that's a lid from an old camp oven, Craig.
Okay.
You know, big pot
Right.
that they could use for just about cooking anything that would hang over the fire. Just the sort of thing you find in lots of these old mining areas, buried in the grass. If you look carefully, you can see this a square shape here built up of stones. This would have been the hearth. There's another just over there, and probably another where that tree is, so that the little shacks would have been very close together. And just across the stream there, probably 200 metres away, is the tui flies, stamping batteries going probably 24 hours a day. So
The industrial centre of this place.
The industrial
And
centre
this is the
of this
domestic
place,
part.
yeah.
Right.
So here, this is very much the skeleton of the old stamping battery here, Craig.
It's amazing, eh? Still in the bush.
Sitting exactly where it was.
So what happened here, mate? This is extraordinary.
The ore would have been put in from either side. You'd have had a big wheel over the top. We'll see that wheel later. Lots of noise and action. Quartz with gold in the side, a slurry coming out here, which would have been processed subsequently. More noise. You and I couldn't carry on a conversation here with it going on. And this would have run sometimes 24 hours a day with the pressure of water coming from the stream through these pipes, driving a water wheel. This is the heart of the Mockianoui mining operation would have been here. And all the companies that were mining here, the Red Queen, the South Pacific and the Mockianoui Company, all their ore would have been...
all through the same one?
All through the same battery.
Cooperative use of a bloody good big piece of metal, huh?
Been here since 1882.
It's great to see these gold mining relics out here in the middle of nowhere, exactly where the miners left them. They're the only signs left of what was once a major industry.
This is the powerhouse of the Mockianoui mining area, Craig. That water hurtling down those big pipes, hitting these buckets, there's 25 or 30 buckets around here, turning this wheel, driving the stampers, crushing the quartz, releasing the gold, essentially. You can just imagine what it would be like bringing a great hunk of iron like this up the track, even on the back of a horse. I'm hugely impressed by what these guys got through to get machinery in here.
When the gold ran out, the miners disappeared and settlements like Seatonville became ghost towns.
The things that drove them away from here were the difficulty of getting gold out, that they weren't getting rich returns from here, the difficulty of access, the remoteness, the weather, the floods. It was not an easy place. We're here now, it's still fairly warm season of the year, but imagine being here through the winter months when the sun hardly penetrates into this valley. And so it wasn't an easy life at all.
Returning to the river, we've got our work cut out for us as we get in amongst some grade 3 rapids. In these narrow gorges, there's evidence of a couple of events which caused major shake-ups of the landscape. The 1929 and 1968 earthquakes. They both measured over 7 on the Richter scale and triggered landslides throughout the area.
There were huge slips all through this river, the Materi River, the Karamea River, and I mean the scars are still there.
It's one thing that makes this part of the river absolutely special is the fact that, tragic as it is, people die in earthquakes and the land falls away, is you've got these amazing rock fortresses sort of that the river has to come through all the way. And as a photographer, just looking at the angulated rocks and these very beautiful forms that you get in the rock, I mean that's part of the whole dynamic of the land falling apart in a way, isn't it?
The 1968 earthquake brought quite an amount of material down into this river as well. You've got these lovely tall forests, the tall rata and fantastic kowhai along the edges, but then you have this amazing seral or secondary forest that's starting to show itself on the strip here.
younger cereal forest has
Yeah.
more plants that give off a lot more berries, and you get a lot more birds as a result. So you're getting quite a neat sort of balance between the very ancient, older trees and this new stuff. Yeah, it's a very dynamic landscape, I guess, in that
Yeah.
respect. Huh? After the break, I go in search of a rare carnivore. New Zealand's west coast is notorious for its high rainfall. Prevailing westerly winds blow moist air off the Tasman Sea. As it hits the Southern Alps, the water vapour cools and condenses into rain clouds. So when you're travelling through the coast, it pays to pack your wet weather gear. The rain has arrived right on cue in the middle of our raft trip. Not that any of us minds. It's all part of the great water cycle, the continuous movement of water up from the ocean and into the atmosphere through evaporation, then back down to earth and into our rivers. And right now, it's all flowing freely, just as it should be. In between rain showers, Andy and I take a break on the banks of the Mockianoui to hunt for a rare carnivore.
We're looking for the real flag bearer of this park, the giant carnivorous land snail. It's an extraordinary creature. They're an amazing form of life, and they're ancient too. They may be as old as the tuatara or our native frog, 80 million years at least. Usually comes out at night time, but sometimes we see it in the daytime on sort of rainy days like this. So there is a chance that we might find one here.
There are over 1,000 different types of land snail in New Zealand, but the snails of the Paulifanta family, they're the biggest. Measuring up to 9 centimetres across, they're the sumo wrestlers of the snail world.
Oh, it'd be really good though, Craig, to pick one up. You know, the more I spend in these places, the more I realise that these big land snails, they're an important part of New Zealand's biota as kiwi and kakapo, and not many people really know that or appreciate that, but land snails have been around. They're only found in New Zealand. They're nowhere else in the world. They're these fabulous animals that so few people know about.
And what spooks me a little bit, as being a vegetarian, is that these things are carnivorous. I mean, these just hoe into these great beasts, hoe into other animals, huh?
Principal diet, earthworms. They drag them back into their shell, suffocate them, and eat them. This northwest corner of the South Island, it's absolutely the land snail capital of New Zealand. It's the land snail capital of the world.
Right.
The Paulifanta capital of the world. But having said that, a lot of them are restricted to very limited areas. They're very, very interesting. They live at certain altitudes, they live on certain substrates, and some of them are of very limited distribution. And that too makes them very, very important.
Yeah.
And they're also very beautiful animals, Craig. That for us.
We have to find one now, Andy. We have to find one.
We can't go on talking about this without finding one.
But they're also notoriously camera shy, and Andy and I are having no luck. So I've arranged to meet a land snail expert, Kath Walker, from the Department of Conservation.
This sort of area.
This is the sort of area they like,
Yeah.
under ferns, under trees.
Yep.
You have to pull aside all this other stuff and get right in the bases of things, because during the day they'll be hiding as moist as they can get.
That's not very moist, Kath.
It's not very moist.
No.
I think we're going to struggle probably trying to find a live one today, and it's just too dry, even here.
Kath isn't having any luck either. So she shows me her shell collection.
So if I put them in the,
Up to 21 different species of Paulifanta have been identified,
aren't they gorgeous?
and 5 of them live right here on the Mockianoui.
So these are all forested.
Yep.
The species it lives in the forest. But other Paulifanta live in the alpine tussock zone, and they've been the slowest to be discovered,
Right.
because it's much harder to see the shells.
Andy
in
and I
the
looked
tall
for some on the top, so we came back empty-handed.
Yeah, I'm not surprised
We
to
looked
hear
hard
it.
for over half an hour, Kath. So.
Yeah, half an hour.
And how
Put
long,
in a few hours and
how,
you
how
might...
long have you been looking for them?
Yeah, 30 years.
Ah, right.
It's an acquired pleasure, which only the joys of the discovery, the unalloyed joy of finding something new, I think I'd probably characterise snail looking. And it has to be quite good because they're in wet, untracked places generally. So there's a lot of bush bashing. There's a lot of head down, bum up sifting through the forest litter in order to find the snails in the first instance.
But since the arrival of the European, land snail numbers have seriously declined due to introduced predators like possums, hedgehogs, rats and pigs, and the destruction of their forest and tussock habitats.
These are confined to New Zealand. They're confined to a small part of New Zealand, which is why they're poorly known. Because they live in wet west coast forests, people don't go there, and that's why people don't know about them.
And
if they did know about them,
right.
I think it would be a whole different story.
Back on the river, we head downstream to hunt for more of the local wildlife with freshwater fish expert Mike Joy. Well stocked with introduced brown trout, the Mockianoui is a great river for fly fishing, but it's also home to some important native species.
They're coming towards us here, coming.
Come on, come on.
The long-fin eel is one of the largest freshwater eels in the world.
So cool.
Come on.
This species is found only in New Zealand and the Pacific where it breeds. It's been swimming up and down our waterways for 65 million years.
But he's not going to bite your finger off.
But lately, it's become a threatened species due to commercial fishing and habitat loss caused by pollution and hydro dams.
People have a sort of a strange image of eels. They tend to think, some people do, that they're a bit black and slimy and, you know, their eyes aren't blue and they don't look at you and you know, have a slightly negative, but I mean, they are wonderful creatures, aren't
Oh,
they?
they're amazing. I mean, obviously I think that's linked to snakes. You know, we have an innate fear because they look like snakes, but yeah, if anybody takes the time to get to know them, you know, I mean, there's lots of places where you can go where you can feed tame eels, or you can come somewhere
True.
like this and and feed an eel, and I think as soon as people do that, they realise that they're actually really beautiful animals.
We're talking about a habitat. I mean,
Yep.
this place is going to be dammed.
Yep.
What happens to the eels in a river like this?
Well, because they migrate, then the biggest barrier to them is to where they need to get to is dams. So already in New Zealand, they've lost 50% of their habitat to dams. So this would just be another one.
We just don't seem to treat our creatures in the river as well as we treat, and they're natives. I mean, have every bit as much respect we should have for them as we do for the kiwi or the kiruru or you know, things that we love on the land.
Yeah.
We don't treat them like that, do we?
No, and it's interesting because Department of Conservation has classified the long-fin eel with the same threat ranking as kiruru and
Really?
kiwi.
Yeah.
So they have that threat ranking, and yet bizarrely, they are. Ministry of Fisheries has them as a quota under the quota management system as a commercial fishery.
You're kidding.
Right, so a huge proportion of our eels now get exported overseas, and the reason that there's a market out there for them is because the other eels in the world are on the verge of extinction. So the European eel, the American eel and the Japanese eel are all at or near extinction. And so now there's this great big market overseas for our threatened species, so we can sell them over there.
What surprises me, Mike, and I guess it does you, is that New Zealanders do love their rivers. But let's be honest, we don't really know what's in our rivers. And let's also be honest, we don't really care enough for what's in our rivers, do we?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, that's the thing for me as a researcher in this area. I've just become incredibly frustrated with the fact that they're all going extinct. So now we have 2/3 of our freshwater fish species are on the threatened species list. So, and not just them, also our kura, the freshwater crayfish, and the kakahi, the freshwater mussel, are also on the threatened species list.
After the break, we head downstream to the proposed dam site, and I find out just what it would mean for this valley.
It's taking out about 330 hectares of forest and river.
We're on day 3 of our trip down the wild Mockianoui River. Apart from a few traces of the old gold mining days, the overwhelming feature of our journey has been the unspoiled nature of this wilderness as a habitat for the rare creatures that live amongst it. But we're about to reach a spot where all of that could change forever.
Yeah, Deb's just had a phenomenal day on this river. I mean, this pristine river, 12 hours we've come down some rapids, some beautiful quiet sections, and then we come around at a lovely evening and you tell us that this is going to be dammed, that there's going to be a dam here, and you point back there.
Yep. So just Up along between that hilltop there's going to be an 85 metre high dam, or proposals for an 85 metre high dam for a hydroelectric scheme. So that would flood pretty much everywhere where we've been rafting today, right down that whole length of the river, Craig. And it's a real concern for us, obviously, because we've got some pretty special places in there. It's an amazing gorge, beautiful forests, there's threatened species, birds. All those things are in that river, and all those things will be under threat by this dam proposal.
But I mean, just how big it's going to be, it's outrageous. You're saying where that ridge starts to get steeper, right across to that ridge over there.
Yep, that's the site that's been chosen. Because
that's massive.
That's about equal to a 20-storey building that we're going to be putting in the way of this river.
Yeah.
Meridian Energy investigated the suitability of many West Coast rivers for hydro generation. Most had insufficient flows or were already protected. The Mockianoui, Meridian says, is the only realisable opportunity for meeting the growing West Coast demand for power. But at what cost to one of our last great untouched rivers?
It's taking out about 330 hectares of forest and river itself, and that would all be flooded under 80 metres of water, which of course is not anything that's a good habitat for any fish, or especially not our birds and native land snails that live here as well. The Mockianoui for us is the defining line in the sand, because this is a very special place. From here on up to those headwaters is all public conservation land. It's all land that's been protected, it's all land that's got very high conservation values. And we face losing those places because of unrealistic demands for energy and outrageous schemes like this proposal. I mean, you just need to spend a day in the river deep within the kind of realms of those walls and witness some of the huge size of those granite boulders, the trees that just start towering up above the canopy, and the rapids. Everything that's within there is amazing, and it's when you spend a long day like we have today and you start really appreciating what would be lost.
Further downstream, Mike Joy tells me about another notable inhabitant of this river, the whitebait.
New Zealanders know about eels. They don't know as much as we'd like to know, obviously, but we know about eels, we know about whitebait. But from listening to you, there's a lot under these rivers in the water that we just don't know about.
Yep. I don't even know that people really know about whitebait. I mean, I know they know what's in their fritter, but and they know what they taste like, and they know they want to go and catch them. But there's so much more to whitebait. There's 5 species that are in that fritter, or potentially in that fritter, and so and all 5 of them live up this river, the adults. And the one that I guess that most people think of as the whitebait is the inanga, which lives in the lower part of the river and goes down into the tidal area to spawn. And then they live a year or so and do that, spawn and die. But the other 5 species live for much longer, decades and decades. And
hopefully they don't all end up as fritters.
No, hopefully not.
Is that a problem? Are we overfishing our native fish?
Yeah, we are. But if it was just the fishing, it would be all right. But there's so many other impacts on our rivers. You think about how New Zealand would have been before humans got here, and the Mockianoui is a really good example of that. So they would have been clean and low productivity and not much sediment, and now they're full of sediment and there are lots of nutrients from farming and from human waste. So we've just changed the world completely for them. So everything that we're doing is bad for them. So that's why I guess that these rivers would just become so much more important because of that. 2/3 of our native fish species are now on the threatened species list. So we have that's happening already, and the modelling work that I've done show if it keeps declining the way it is by 2050, we basically won't have any native fish left. Well, there'll be very few because they're just disappearing at that kind of rate.
By 2050, very few native fish left in our rivers.
Yeah.
That's an indictment on us,
Yeah.
as much as we love our water and love our rivers.
Yeah, we obviously... Native fish seem to, fish just miss, somehow they miss out on any protection that we give to other animals, it's a shame, real shame.
Mike's words cause me real anxiety. If the history of the Earth is a clock face, we humans have been here for just a fraction of a second. Do we really want ours to be the generation that destroys our natural world and wipes out our ancient flora and fauna purely because of our own stupidity and greed? It makes me value my brief moments in a wilderness like the Mockianoui. But it also makes me wonder how much of this will be left for our grandkids. I'm on the last day of my journey down the wonderful Mockianoui River. There's no doubt this wild waterway has an impact on all who come into contact with it, and not the least the local Maori, who have been connected with the river, or awa, for centuries. I'm meeting West Coast local Rick Barber.
Over the last 3 days, we've had an amazing voyage, amazing journey on this river, but I already feel that it has a sort of almost a personality of its own, almost a spirit of its own. How do you see that in Māori terms?
Well, of course we say the awa does absolutely have a spirit. In Māori terms, we call it often the Māori, the life-giving forces of the awa. This awa, like many of our awa, are just sacred to us, really. They're so special. And we know when we look up the awa that the view we get up here is virtually identical to the ones of the first peoples that came here from Hawaii.
Your people used the river, I understand, as a greenstone route, as a panamu route?
Well, the awa were all routes for many purposes, whether it be to get kaiawa or also to some places were used as wānanga learning sites up different awa. This was used as a route for military purposes, and it was used as a route for pounamu, just a route as a route. Okay. And so it had whatever the needs were. If the route met the needs, it was used. And
you named the river Mockianoui. What's the significance of that?
Well, the name is very significant. To cross the awa here, there were no bridges in the old times, of course, and to cross it you needed a raft, and a big raft. And the traditional Māori raft is a mokahi. They needed a big one down there, and they made a mokahinui. It was parked up for anyone to use to cross the river, both sides, and hence the name. You need when you get to the Mockianoui, the big raft, you're at that river.
And the river must have been very important in terms of an eel supply, and these days eels are in trouble. They are losing their habitat all over New Zealand. They need rivers like this one that are unmodified, and that must be a blow to Māori people that one of their traditional food sources is very much under threat these days.
Our natural kai, our tuna and our kai moana is in trouble. I mean, we know fish stocks are in trouble all around the world, but even here. Yeah. And they're big questions we have to grapple with, and we can't waste too much time on it. All the kaiawa is taonga here, the natural kaiawa, and they're meant to be protected and fostered, but what we've seen is their constant decline since human occupation, you could argue, but especially since modern industrial times.
Yep.
So the decline is constant, and it's very sad for us to see that happening.
One thing that's hanging over this river is this dam. I mean, that huge dam that's going to go up just behind us here, that's going to have a heavy effect, isn't it?
It is. In my view it is. In our view it's irreversible. They need to dig down about 9 metres into the bed of the awa to get the foundations and blast the banks and block this awa to generate a pressure head to create electrical energy. And to do that irreversibly changes this awa forever, really. Well, forever's a long time, but and certainly for the next few thousand years. We value the awa, and also we understand the fact that we live in a modern world, but we've come to the conclusion through our consultation that most of our people don't support this construction here in this awa because there's alternatives to it, but also because there's no alternatives to the Mockianoui te Taonga, because when it's gone, you can't make another one. We would like it to be the same for our great mokopuna in the future, to come here and to these places, and they deserve our protection as guardians today, as kaitiaki, to be here. And if we don't do the right mahi and the right job to ensure that they're here for them, then the tupuna will know that we have failed.
I'm with Rick. It's our duty to protect what's left of our environment for future generations. As I near the river's mouth, I find myself heading for town. This is the fabled West Coast, a remote, sparsely populated part of New Zealand. And I'm about to visit a couple of classic West Coast settlements, the small riverside towns of Seddonville and Mockianoui. Seddonville was named back in 1893 in honour of New Zealand Premier Richard Seddon. King Dick, as he was known, was hoping the town would prosper from coal and gold mining.
But it wasn't to be. The state coal mine closed in 1914, and these days Seddonville is a tiny settlement reliant on farming and tourism. I'm curious to find out exactly what the locals think about the dam proposed for their valley.
Dam up the Mockianoui, what was your first reaction when you heard about it?
I didn't believe it because I'd heard that it had been looked at, a proposal to dam the dam in the 1970s, and that it had been canned because of the serious seismic risk.
I mean, Seddonville was actually taken out before our time in 1929. Do you have any anxiety about living below a dam that's just up the road from you?
Most certainly, because the earthquake scenario is that if there is a dam break, we'll be inundated within 8 minutes. The water would be above my house here. There would be no chance of escape if there was a dam break.
Yeah, Dan, I have you been going through the Lyell and down the Mockianoui the other day in a long tramp. How was that?
Yeah, that was beautiful. Beautiful place to be. It was fantastic. We don't need that power. I'd say we need the resource of the natural land rather than the resource of that power.
Even just whitebaiting it will affect, which most of us enjoy around here.
Yeah.
So it affects a lot of recreation, especially while they're building it. It's such a beautiful spot that you just want to see it stay the way it is. Right. Why touch it?
There's something very majestic about the Mockianoui. It's very beautiful. It's got really high Indigenous values that other places just don't have. It's imperative that it's kept in the state that it's in at the moment, or even better.
But just down the road at the Mockianoui pub, I find some different points of view.
There's going to be a dam in this region. How do you think it's going to affect the place?
Well, I've been involved in other power schemes through the country, and a lot of people are scared of the impact on the area and things, but nowadays it's done very well. It fits the environment, and there's a lot of caution taken and making sure it's all dead right. Yep. Can't do any harm.
Yeah, but even, I mean, it's going to flood the big gorge, isn't it? But,
it floods probably part of the valley that probably not many people venture in anyhow, like enhances the...
Yep.
Brings more people to the area to see the lake.
How do you feel about the proposed dam?
Yeah, no, we're quite for it. It'd be good for the area. Yeah.
What sort of ways would it be good for the area, do you think?
Oh, you get more business, more people coming in, and lots of people staying and that. So.
Yep.
Good for accommodation and all that. Good for a business like us, the pub.
The pub.
Come and drink. Yeah.
True enough.
And then recreation be better for that too. People will be able to canoe or whatever up there.
What do you think the dam will bring to the region?
Well, it'll bring enormous growth, I would think, to the region. It's proposed that there's going to be 350-odd workers there working for 2 to 3 years. As a publican, you've got to be a little bit impartial to issues that we have here, like the Mockianoui Dam or the 1080, for example. So you remain impartial. You don't. But I am for the dam, and I am against 1080. So there you go.
So there are arguments on both sides, for and against the dam. I, for one, believe that this wild river should be left just as it is, as nature intended. At the Mockianoui's mouth, where it pours into the Tasman Sea, I meet local farmers John and Raywin McTaggart, who have lived beside the river for 25 years. You're living in a special part of the river, because this is where the river, this extraordinary river that I've followed from right up in the mountains, comes down to the ocean, and it gives itself up to the ocean in some ways, doesn't it?
Yes.
This great force that's come from the sky has given itself up to the ocean.
This is a meeting place for nature, because you've got the river, you've got the sea.
Yep.
You're really open, you're exposed to the wind from the 4 directions. So when we get our heaviest rain, which is a nor'wester from that direction there, crosses over the sea, so picks up moisture as it comes. You watch the passage of the sun and the moon across the sky, because this is the last place where it sets during the day.
Okay, the sunset, yeah.
So there's just so many brilliant things that are associated with being here, so many things where it's so natural, just forces of nature coming into play. They're just in harmony with each other here.
So it's a spiritual place for all of us. I'm forever thankful for what the river provides, and it does provide an abundance of gifts.
Gifts you put on your table,
Yes.
gifts that you put in your
Yes.
mind, gifts that are part of your spirituality.
You know, we must learn to say thank you.
And what do you think about the notion that we might be able to, in some way, give something back to the river? The river's given us so much.
We give a voice because the river can't speak for itself. So if we see occasions where people are acting to the river's detriment, well then you give something back. What can you give? But you give your voice. So you stand up and make yourself heard, make yourself known that, hey, this isn't right, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, maybe we should be looking for alternatives.
Yep.
And it's basically, all we can give is like just the voice, our voice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's in part, as a photographer, I feel that if I can take some images in the gorge or some images up on the top and just say that, here is a thing of beauty, here is a thing that we didn't create, that is stunningly beautiful, that we can move through and enjoy, then I've given, albeit a little bit back. Gives us a lot of joy, I guess.
Yep, I reckon.
Makes us happy.
It does.
Good to be by a river.
It is.
Absolutely.
And this river.
This river in particular, the Mockianoui. Over the past few days, I've been lucky enough to travel the length of one of our last great untouched rivers. A river now under the threat of a dam. As we were making this program, a number of environmental and recreational groups were planning appeals against the dam, so it's by no means a done deal. I know we all need power, but destroying one of our last great wildernesses cannot be the answer. If there's any justice, the Mockianoui will be left alone to flow on, unimpeded, wild and free.